There it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
what are the lollipops?
Good evening, everyone. I have 6:04 and a quorum of voting commissioners, so I will open up tonight's Conservation Commission meeting. This is our meeting for August 24th, 2023. Tonight, we're meeting here at the Wacoit Meeting Room, Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North. Our meeting is broadcast live on local cable channel 18 and streamed live on the Town of Mashpee website. Before I do begin the meeting, if you would like to join me in a pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. As always, I'll start with public comment for any issues that are not related to agenda items that we have posted for tonight's meeting. So if there is anyone here in the audience that would like to address the commission, this would be the time. Yes, sir. I just have your name. I know who you are, but for the record.
Brian Whedon, 133 Main Street. Good evening, everyone. I'm Brian Whedon. I'm here as an individual citizen and petitioner. I wanted to talk in regards to Article 9, which is a citizen's petition that was filed by myself. This petition would authorize the Select Board to release title to the tribe for the Old Indian Cemetery. This article will also authorize the Select Board to release the parcels on Map 68, Block 13C to the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe for the purpose of expanding the current cemetery. This article will help to expand the Old Indian Cemetery located on the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe's reservation at 410 Meeting House Road and support placing the parcel into trust on behalf of the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe for future generations of Mashpee Wampanoag tribal citizens and families. Currently, the Old Indian Meeting House Cemetery is on a 12-acre lot when the original deed for the meeting house included 400 acres back in the 1600s when religion was forced upon our people and we became known as the quote-unquote praying Indians. This site was also listed on the National Register of Historical Places in 1998 as it is the oldest Native American church in the eastern United States and the oldest church on Cape Cod. The Great Neck Woods Cemetery, located on Great Neck Road South, currently sits on a 19-acre parcel and was opened in 2002 and is currently owned and managed by the town. However, prior to the town cemetery, it was the Old Indian Cemetery, which was the town cemetery, and still has non-tribal members buried there, along with the tribe continuing to honor past deeds from town residents so that they can be buried with their loved ones. The Old Indian Cemetery is limited on space and open to Mashpee Wampanoag tribal citizens and their spouses, with a tribal population around 4,000, and at the rate of the tribe is losing and burying people, we can no longer buy plots as you can at the Newtown Cemetery because of the limited amount of space we have. This article will not interfere with the town's IGA at all, which was a concern by the Select Board as well as the FinCom. In fact, the IGA between the town and the tribe on page 5, section 2 states the tribe agrees, and the last sentence at the top of the page reads as follows. Furthermore, nothing herein shall prevent or preclude the tribe and town from engaging in negotiations or transactions subsequent to the date of this agreement regarding the transfer of title to or interest in any town property upon terms mutually acceptable to both parties. If the town wished to have that discussion, the tribe is more than willing to have those discussions with the Select Board. The reason why I'm here tonight is because if the town moves forward with disposing of the land, the Conservation Commission has first rights under Mass General Law. So I wanted to just come here tonight to tell you a little bit about the article. I'm not looking for a formal official support from the Conservation Commission, but wanted to express why this article was drafted and the intent for if it does come at a later date, if it is approved at town meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Brian, did you leave anything here for us?
No.
Or a drawing, is there someplace maybe with the board? Board of Selectmen, we can get a drawing of the plots.
I believe the Board of Selectmen did not discuss this at their last
They did not.
Correct.
meeting.
It will be discussed on Monday.
Okay.
The agenda was just
Eventually
posted.
Make it to us.
So the map was attached to the original petitioner's article, and I'd be happy to go on the GIS website and just screenshot it or send it around.
That would be very cool.
That would
Of
be good
course.
to have.
Yeah.
What I will do as chair is I'll put a discussion item on our next agenda, once we have that, and then any questions, concerns that the commissioners have, or if they want to make a motion for support, I could then accept that. But I wouldn't be able to do that tonight because it's not on the agenda.
That's understood, and I appreciate it. The parcel that we're referencing is the one that's the corner lot between 28 and Meeting House Road, right there where the town's transfer station sign is.
Yeah.
So all that wooded area right there where the stones are is the parcels that we were looking at. I believe it's roughly a little bit over an acre and a half or so.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the commission under public comment? Okay, hearing none. Before I go to the hearings themselves, I want to take the first pre- and post-hearing agenda item, Conservation Department 2023 Summer Intern, Andrew Kelly. Is Andrew here today, tonight? Would you like to come up for a minute, please?
Right here?
Yeah. Basically, we don't want you to leave.
We've all been asking about you.
I just want to take the opportunity to formally thank you for being here and helping out. It's been a long summer, and I'm sure for you as well, but your talents and your skills and your ability to help out is muchly appreciated.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to have this opportunity to help you guys out with this very noble task of conservation.
Great, great. Well, thank you so much. And we have a certificate here,
We have a certificate and a gift.
Ooh.
certificate of appreciation.
Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks again.
Yeah, can we get a photo? Yeah, put a little picture.
Paper, like the big check of the
I
golf.
want this on the front page if you don't mind. Encourage other young people. Thank you again.
Thank you. Don't be a stranger. And I'll take.
I never see Ron here.
Okay. Okay, to move things along, I'm going to move to our first scheduled hearing, the 6 o'clock hearing for 61 Shoestring Bay Road, 61 Shoestring Bay Road LLC. This is a proposed final house footprint with an associated landscaping, hardscaping, appurtenances, and utilities. The representative is WRS Engineering LLC. This would be an amended order of conditions, DEP file number 43-3062. We do have a request to continue this hearing, and that will be scheduled for, if approved by the commission, September 7th at 6:18 p.m. So if there is a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Steve. We have a motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion, questions, or comments on this continuance request?
This is the first one, right?
This is the first.
Okay.
Okay, we're good? All right, I'll take a roll call vote. Alex?
Yes.
Steve? Thank you. Marjorie?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That motion carries unanimously, so we'll move that over to September 7th. Our next hearing is 6:03 PM, 26 Wheeler Road, and this is the 26 Wheeler Road LLC. This is a proposed removal of 20 infested pitch and white pine trees. The representative is the owner of property. This has been continued from July 27th. It's a request for determination of applicability. We also have a request by the owner to continue this hearing to October 5th at 6 p.m. And I don't have a reason, just that there's a request. If you recall, we were asking for a formal layout of the mitigation, the location of what was going to be proposed and where it was going to be placed in the area where those 20 trees
Yeah.
had been taken out. And I believe there was also a berm
there
between that
was.
area and the pond itself.
He was going to install a berm in between the beach and the newly planted trees closer to the water.
Right.
That was the plan. And he just came out and requested continuance.
Apparently, the plant's not prepared or ready for,
It's definitely not ready, he said.
Yeah. okay. So I'll entertain a motion on that request.
I'll make a motion to continue for 26 Wheeler Road to October 5th at 6 PM.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Steve. Motion made and seconded on the table for discussion. Questions, comments? Hearing none. Alex?
Yes.
Steve? Yes. Marjorie?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. So that motion carries unanimously as well, and that will be continued to October 5 at 6 p.m. The next hearing is the 606 hearing for 339 Monomoskoye Road. William P. and Roxanne M. Simons. Proposed raise and replace of an existing single-family dwelling and garage. Representative is BSS Design. This is a notice of intent with a DEP number of 43-3248. Before this hearing begins, I believe it was this morning via email, the commission received revised plans for the project along with the proposed mitigation layout. And clearly, there is not enough time for an all-volunteer commission to review all of that in, 9 hours' time. So I'm not going to allow any of that material to be entered into tonight's hearing. And if it has a detrimental effect on a decision that we're going to make, I will certainly entertain a request by the applicant to ask for a continuance. Good evening, sir.
Andrew Garrelay, registered landscape architect, working on this project. I'm also sitting in for Tom Bunker of BSS Design, couldn't make it tonight. The revision is a very, very, very minor detail. The DEP sent a letter to BSS Design explaining that their interpretation of a coastal bank is the soil behind a revetment. So it just moved the coastal bank delineation 1 foot landward, and that's all it is. But I also recalculated with Tom the mitigation that raised the mitigation amount, I think it was 54 square feet, and added a couple more plants and also showed that difference. So it's a very, very minor change to just add a little bit more mitigation in to make up for that 1 foot delineation line. You can see on that, the face of the wall was used. Something that they've always done in the past was use the face of the revetment, but somebody at DEP sent a letter describing that by the pure language of the description of that, it's the soil, not the actual wall. So that's why it got moved 1 foot.
Well, regardless of that, I know I was on the site yesterday with another commissioner, and most of the stakes had been removed, and the owner mentioned to me, well, I had to move those because I had a party and we had 30 people, and she pulled them all up. So it becomes extremely difficult when commissioners show up at a site. I mean, I had the plans, I had my iPad, I could kind of see where
Completely
things were,
understand.
but if it's not stake, it's a violation of Regulation 3, Section 6D. Plus, from what I did review, there's no nitrogen calculations as required by Regulation 30. So there's a lot of stuff here that, in my opinion, it constitutes a continuance. So I don't know where you want to go from there. Do you want to?
And then I'll request a continuance.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I think that's
Thank you.
really the best thing to do, rather than go through everything now. And I would like it to be restaked. so
Oh,
that
absolutely,
another visit can be
absolutely.
made.
I had no idea of that.
Yeah, and get the the nitrogen calculation figures to us as soon as you can.
Yeah, he did update the system with a nitrogen D-night system.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's also, you know,
I
I'm sure you know
understand.
this,
Yep.
it's the runoff of everything. You know,
Yep.
the buildings, the roofs.
Understand.
It's going to
Yep.
be paved, patios, you name it.
Yeah.
Okay. So Dan, I don't know what our schedule looks like in terms of
That would be September 21st at 6:12, I'm sorry.
September 21
Yep, at 6:12.
at 6:12. Okay. I would accept a motion from a commissioner.
I'll make a motion to continue for 339 Matamascoy Road to September 21st at 6:12 PM.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Motion made and seconded. Any questions or comments before I call for a vote? Hearing none. Alex?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Marjorie?
Yes.
Aaron? Sandy?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. So that's unanimous, and we'll see you back on September 21. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, now calling the 6:09 hearing for 31 Keel Way, Michael J. Tringale, trustee, and Maureen G. Tringale, trustee. This is a proposed addition to existing single-family dwelling and hardscaping. Representative is BSS Design. This is a notice of intent with the DEP file number of 43-3247. Good evening again.
Good evening. Again, Andrew Garrelay, registered landscape architect, filling in for Tom Bunker, who's away. I am a former employee of BSS Design, so that's why Tom asked me to sit in. This project is the removal of a deck and conversion of part of the deck into a patio. We've got a great river there with the edge of the marsh and top of coastal bank. This coastal bank did not move because it's not behind a revetment, so we're good on that. There's an addition being made to the kind of in the middle of the house where there's already deck coverage with a little bit of expansion also on the driveway side of the house, just a tiny, it's only a couple of feet just behind the 100. I'm just going to hold this. I put some color on here because it's really hard to see. There's a little bit of an expansion in the, just inside the 100 on the front driveway side of the house here. They're adding stairs to come down from the upper deck.
Could you hold it up just a little bit more so that we
Yeah.
can see it, Joe?
Yeah, and I showed that in pink, and a little extension of where there's not patio now, just behind the, just landward of the 50-foot buffer line there. Decking will be removed from around the pool in this yellow area and not replaced. They're going to rebuild the decks here on the house where there's existing deck already. So the resulting mitigation calculation is for 132 square feet, which they propose to put into this location here, which is a little opening in the brush area. Also, too, the area around the pool on the water side, currently it just has, I don't know what was there long before they cleaned things up a little. They have now, it's just a black weed cloth that's in there. So they'd like to put an artificial lawn just in that little thin area around the pool area so they can put some chairs there. My notes here. Yeah, so it's not adding anything in the 50, just that pink area of those stairs in the 50 to 100, and that little tiny sliver up on the front side of the house that's just inside the 100. I think that's, any questions on that, or?
All set? Okay. I think what I'll do is I'll turn it over first to commissioners that have questions or comments, and I'll take it from there.
I just have a question on
Marjorie?
the photo that we've got here, the swimming pool, the distance between the swimming pool and the water. But I cannot find, I apologize if you've got it here, I cannot find the depth. What's the trajectory there from the swimming pool down into the sand and then the water?
I'm sorry, I don't know what,
How deep is the drop between the decking on this swimming pool?
the existing deck, it's just above the ground. The current
It looks like
deck.
there's a drop, and I tried to
Oh.
get back that far, but I didn't, I couldn't.
I did one, I did one visit there.
It looks like it's 5, I don't know.
No, there's decks on the house that are first-story decks, and
Right.
then there's just a little bit of decking around the pool. Instead of having a patio, they had wood deck.
Yeah,
So it's, I don't know, it's like, I think it's like about a foot or 9 inches, or,
I don't think it's that, it's probably.
yeah, it's like on the
6.
ground,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's right on the ground.
So what they're removing and replacing is right around the pool area on the ground.
level, you're saying that's all level, and then I can see the deck, I see the edging. What I'm having difficulty figuring out is the trajectory on the drop from,
I don't understand.
Contour elevation between deck surface and top of coat.
that's what I was looking
Okay.
for. Thank you.
Very little.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
It's pretty flat.
The
They
deck
are.
is at elevation 8, and the,
I couldn't get back there, and I just,
Yeah.
it looked like it was a steeper
yeah,
fall.
Yeah.
the deck elevation is, well, it's right up to the coping of the pool, so the deck elevation is 8, and I don't see any spark grades adjacent to it, but the contour line 8 comes in, I don't know if you can see that, contour line 8 comes in here and reaches the edge of the cobble and deck here, so it's even with the ground right there.
So there's not much of a fall?
No,
It-
it's just being converted from walking on a deck next to the pool to
Yeah.
walking on a patio next to the pool.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Anything else, Marjorie?
No, I just want to write down.
Contour
Synaptic
elevation.
occlusion, and I'm thinking, there's a better way to phrase this, but contour, that was it.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Aaron, questions? Sandy? Steve?
I just have, only questions are based on what, the agent's questions on the retail and pool equipment, and then the artificial turf, put an artificial turf down instead of
Yeah.
native plants or whatever. I know it's right next to the pool, so I don't know if there's another alternative besides artificial turf. So that's the only question, based on the agent's comments.
Yeah, they didn't, is it okay if I?
Sure.
Yeah, they didn't want to put hardscape in there because it would be coverage in the 50-foot setback. Currently, they have this black cloth on the ground, so the idea with the artificial turf was it's pervious, doesn't take nitrogen, so it would seem like a very good eco-friendly solution, and they can walk on with their bare feet and have a couple of chairs like they have now on that black cloth without having to mow anything or move things around, and not pick up wood chips or sand on their feet as they go back into the house.
Right, so just, I can interject. Just because someone chooses to put down a black cloth doesn't then make, in my mind, That's not a part of footprint. I mean, yeah, they previously altered it, but then to put plastic down as a solution to, instead of having plantings, I would rather them put a patio down and then around it and then just mitigate for the square footage of the patio. I mean, it's, sure, you can say it's pervious, but what's underneath it? And realistically, a 3-inch rain event, it's just sheeting off of it anyway.
I don't know what Drew wrote for comment. I met with Drew on a site a few days ago and asked him specifically about this, and he didn't think you'd have a problem with it, so, but,
I will
Yeah.
have Drew's comments read into the record after I get back from the
does
public.
he did make comments on it?
Yes.
Okay, good, thank you.
Anything else, folks?
Yeah, I'm just struggling with
Yeah.
the turf being a solution 40 feet from a bank.
Yeah,
I don't-
and the other question I mentioned is the pool equipment. And you don't see where it's,
It's existing somewhere, but I don't know where.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not changing that.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it when I was on the site, the
Yeah, I
mechanics for
don't-
the pool, but the pool's there, so
Yeah, okay.
maybe it's underneath one of those decks or inside.
And I don't know what was there. I'm sorry, I'm not as deeply familiar with this project because I didn't work on it. I don't know what was,
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there was some side.
where the black cloth was. I don't know if they removed wood chips from there. I'm not sure, but the cobble edging's been there a long time. It's not new.
Right.
Any other questions? No?
I just had a comment. I know
yes,
that the
Sam.
homeowner said they didn't want the hassle of mowing around the pool area, but,
And you don't allow lawn there either, so.
no, well, we could we, like clover, so that doesn't need fertilizer, and that doesn't require as much mowing, correct?
Yep. Even the micro clover is,
Right.
it's a tight plant
Yeah.
that wouldn't have to be mowed at all.
The reason for not using the micro clover in this case is because it's bare feet next to the pool, and the micro clover gets heavily used by bees. So you
Not
wind
the
up with...
micro. You might be thinking white Dutch clover. Micro has very little flowering to it. It's just all green.
I was somewhere very recently, and it was loaded. Maybe it was a different clover. I don't know.
There's 20 or 30 different
Yeah.
species that are being used now as lawn replacements. I'm a little down on the artificial piece. If there were any event of a flood, you have all that rubberized compound that's going to start migrating, and who knows where it goes. So I'm really kind of down on that. I also, I hate to be the harbinger of bad news, but I was on the site yesterday. If you look at the plan where it says hammock, and you've got an 18-inch pine, and I can't read the oak itself. Anyways, the two supports for the hammock, if you look at the pitch pine support, that tree is infested with turpentine beetles. I took pictures of it. There's a beetle on the outside of it, just the casing of it, because it had already, morphed out. And you can look at the prolific amount of cones on it. That tree either needs to be treated successfully or removed. So I don't know, how you want to deal with that. Did you see that when you were on the site?
I was on the site very briefly because this was kind of, Tom asked me to cover for him just very recently, so I did a very quick walkthrough.
Yeah, that's something that
Yeah.
is screaming for
Yeah.
attention. The other
So-
pitch pines, I looked at those, there wasn't any indication that it's migrated, around the corner of the house where those are.
Is that something we could have them talk to Drew about having it removed? Yeah.
There should be a discussion about it,
Yeah.
one way or the other,
Yeah.
either treated successfully or removed, because
Yeah.
it's problematic. And that's right there, so.
That's the one that's seaward of the two that the hammock is on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one that says 18-inch pine. I have a couple of photographs of it. If you'd like them, I could forward them to you.
I think the location, I certainly would take your word for it.
Any other questions or concerns from commissioners before
I think for, like, if we're looking to close an issue tonight, for me to get there, it would be mitigation for the artificial turf. It's a substance that's not natural being introduced, and it is, you know,
I think they'd be happier with the micro clover.
option.
It was just that it was suggested to them
Yeah.
that to
So,
do.
yeah, so, I mean, we can make it so either that area is clover or they're mitigating for it, and that can be worked out with staff.
Okay.
I think I would be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Okay, very
I don't
good.
think we need to continue
Yeah.
another one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? So we good at this point? I'll go to the public. Anyone that's here tonight that would like to comment or question on this proposal we have before us? Seeing and hearing none. Do we have anybody online, Dan? I'll make sure we
No, just the.
cover everything. Okay. All right, so Dan, I'm going to come back over to you for agent's comments, and we'll take it from there.
All right, so resource areas, land subject to coastal storm flowage, buffer zone to coastal bank, salt marsh, and land under the ocean containing shellfish. Agent does not recommend the use of artificial turf where proposed. This area should be used for expanded mitigation plantings to enhance the buffer zone. More detail on pool equipment, location, drainage / overflow aspects. Most of the work is proposed within previously legally altered areas. Agent recommends close an issue with conditions of submittal or revised plans with the expanded mitigation and area currently proposed for artificial turf. Staff can review said plans in lieu of a continuance.
Okay. And just as a follow-up, we do have boilerplate language on our orders of condition about pool drawdowns.
Yes. Yes, for pool drawdowns, the boilerplates are, the pool can be drawn down by a truck only, and you cannot drain it into a wetland ever.
Okay, then. I think we're good. I'll entertain a motion if there is one.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for 31 Keel Way for a close and issue with the conditions for pool drawdown, which is on the order conditions, and to change the artificial turf into a micro clover.
And/or mitigate if they don't want to do that. but
And
they'll
if
look-
they turn into a patio and
Okay.
mitigate.
Yep.
Okay. For a patio in this place. And then for the applicant to work with staff on the removal or conditioning of that 18-inch pine with the
Yep.
pine borer field. Got everything on that?
Yep. I'll second.
All set?
Yep.
Okay. And Alex?
Yeah, I'll second.
You're going to second it? All right. So we have a motion to close an issue with a second, with the various conditions that Steve has outlined. I'll turn that over to the commissioners for questions, discussion. None? You good? Very good.
Thank you very much.
Hold on, we didn't vote yet.
Oh, okay.
It might not fly, I don't know.
You just can't wait to get off of that seat.
Well, I was so worried that I was going to be 0 for 3.
I
'cause
know.
I didn't know the first one was continued. Nobody
With-
told me.
No further discussion, then I will call for a vote. Alex?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Marjorie?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
I vote yes as well.
Thank you
Now
very
can
much.
leave.
Now
Motion
you're free.
carries unanimously. Thank you.
Take a munchkin with you.
I'm trying to cut down, actually.
Just give me a second here.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm now going to call the 6:12 hearing for 87 and 89 Sneed Drive. This is Robert T. and Linda J. Ellsworth. Proposed construction and maintenance of a single-family dwelling, hardscaping, landscaping, and appurtenances. representative is the owner. This is a notice of intent with the DEP file number of 433250.
Chairman, I'm going to recuse myself since Mr. Ellsworth is a...
Okay, thank you, Steve. We still have plenty of voting commissioners, so we'll just open it up. Good evening, sir. If I can have your name for the
Yes,
record.
Robert Ellsworth, Bob Ellsworth.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I was on your site.
Finally made it here.
I was on your site the other day.
No, I went, I actually built a home around the corner on 69 Palmer. And my wife pointed out that this piece of property was, and I walked across the golf course and walked the property and decided it was someplace where I wanted to build my forever home. Apparently, there's a little bit of confusion was brought to my attention about the two numbers for the property. When I first sat down up to the right in the upper corner from the proposed barn was I was going to build a 2-bedroom ADU. And when I went to engineering, they suggested heavily that I have it numbered separately in case of emergencies, etc. COVID, price of goods and construction, time, I've decided it's better to build one house than two. I will be incorporating an ADU above the garage, and that will probably be the second street number. What I'm putting before the commission is permission to encroach within the 200-foot riparian for an area equal to a little bit less than 10% of the riverfront area that's described in the 310 CMR. The reason for that is mostly topographical. If you see the contour lines running from where the proposed dwelling is, straight out through it's not a right-of-way, it's actually my driveway property between two existing lots. As you go to the, I'm not sure directionally, but if you go up to the upper right, the contours are such that excavation and construction would be more difficult and more expensive. The proposed dwelling itself, I've played golf since I was 6 years old. I don't really desire a house to be on the golf course. Every 15 minutes, 4 strangers are in your backyard. I've got plenty of golf balls. I've been playing a long time. I don't lose many. But, when I walked the property, I saw an opportunity to have, a tremendous amount of property, privacy down in the wooded area. Much to my dismay, the Mashpee River takes quite a bend, and when the 200 feet is cast from that farthest point, it encompasses almost 2/3 of what's a 2.4 acre parcel. That, that area you can see on the mapping, limits me, to the outlying area outside the the dotted 200-foot riparian. I initially came into conservation when I bought the property, and I don't recall the young lady's name who was the assistant at the time. And so I said, well, this is what I like to do, and blah, blah, blah. And her question was, do you have an environmental consultant? And I said, do I need one? And she says, well, there's an awful lot of paperwork. And I've had quite I really needed a Google's map to reference all of the references in the CMR. It said reference this, reference back and forth. But I think with a tremendous amount of help from the commission, from the Conservation Department, Drew, Dan, Stacy have been tremendous help. And got it before you. I don't have a lot of interesting, colorful maps. Hopefully, everything that you need, want, is on that site plan. I guess I'll let you take it from there and fire away, question-wise.
Okay, thank you. Let me go out first to commissioners that would like to ask questions or comment on what we have before us.
Sure. Is the black line,
That represents 6,800 square feet.
right, and that it's, I think underneath it says it's the limit of work. Is that going, I mean, will that have like swaddling to keep anything from running down the hill?
If you look at the profile of alignment that's in the package, coming up from the water's edge,
Yeah.
within the first 100 feet or up to the inland bank, it's quite steep and it's almost impenetrable. And then you can see in the contours, the lines, I mean, it's a very gradual slope. And, I have brought a driveway in with a piece of equipment that I own and, removed some of the trees and stuff like that. And, in the time that I've done that, I haven't unearthed more than a potato-sized rock.
Right.
And the soil conditions, as you can see in the perk that I've included, are pretty much it's a sandy composition. And again, your question was about the containment?
Yeah, well, when you're digging for the home and you're putting in the foundation, I mean, are there plans to do?
Well, along the I can't even read it from here.
And I think I think you are planning, I'm assuming, a silt fence along that way?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I discussed it with Drew, and, I've been in construction for about almost 40 years.
Right.
So I've seen in different barriers being placed. And I didn't really, we discussed it, and I think he said that the stake baggy, given the soil conditions, et cetera, and there won't be a lot of spoils from excavation being stored in and around it. Most of them I'm going to bring down to outside the area there, down to the right-hand corner, and because there's a little bit of a belly in the property. So as the foundation gets excavated, I have a machine there. I'll just move that right down the hill. And most of it, again, the siting of the proposed is if you look at the contours, it's the most level area there, and it also allows a nice buffer to the golf course itself. It also has a pretty significant buffer to the neighboring houses.
Yeah, I guess I just want to make sure no material's moving in 3-inch rain events that we see.
Well, I mean, you can go there and see kind of where the mud lines of some of the pine needles and stuff like that will in the drive, and it's mostly in that swale.
Okay.
There'll be silt fencing around the perimeter.
Okay.
I'll come back.
Yeah.
I'll come back if I have to. Marjorie?
So I think I might want to wait to hear
Okay.
Drew's comments on this,
Okay.
because my only question, and I suspect Drew will answer it from you, Mr. Chairman, is the sequence of events. This is an awful lot of sequence of events that are unknown.
Right.
At least to us, many of which we have no purview over anyway. It's going to go somewhere else, and then it'll
Sure.
come back to us. So
Yep.
I'll
Okay.
wait.
Okay. Aaron? What's that? Sandy?
No, I'm fine with it, just, you know, we don't have that much, what the landscaping around the house is going to be in that.
Well, yeah, you know, I discussed this downstairs. It's a little bit difficult because, you know, I built a house around the corner of 69 Palmer. And when I bought that lot, it had been engineered. And, you know, the house was constructed and I came before the commission for that landscaping plan at that time. When I spoke downstairs in the office, the focus seemed to be more on what are you going to hardscape, that type of thing. And, you know, and I'm, you know, kind of waiting to see what everything kind of looks like. I mean, I wanted to try to give myself a little bit of breathing room outside the perimeter of the house, you know, which encompasses the 6,800. You know, the driveway, you know, I put an extended pervious driveway for a turnaround. I'm not sure I'm going to need that, but I will want to walk from the driveway to the house and then outside the porch, you know, a paved patio. Beyond that, I really, I'm familiar, again, from 69 with the native species and the conservation mix and, you know, the things that you're looking for in that. But at this point, it'd be, you know, I could have a nice drawing with all kinds of colors, but it might not be what I end up doing, so.
No, I just think we should have something in our determination that says as it goes
Right,
along.
right. That I'd
So
come
we're
back
just
before them
blanketing
for a
saying
final
yes to this.
landscape
Right.
plan.
Right.
You can't escape us. You
No,
can't escape.
no.
Doesn't matter.
I like it, though. I like it. They're getting to know me downstairs pretty well.
How long have you been in construction?
How long have I been doing it?
Yeah,
About 40 years.
40?
I have 2 knees and 2 shoulders to
Yeah.
tell to
A few
report
gray
about.
hairs,
What's that?
a few gray hairs.
Yeah.
It'll do it.
Okay, I'm going to address a few issues. When I was on the site yesterday,
Yep.
I saw the indication for the septic, which I know is out of our jurisdictional purview, but it's up there somewhere by the proposed barn or the proposed.
It's, yeah, down at the foot of the driveway to the right there.
That'll all be reviewed by the Board of Health, because
Right.
that's within their purview. So
Right.
I'm assuming we're putting in an IA system
Yes.
of sorts.
Yeah.
My question, not to you, but maybe over to Dan, would he be responsible for Regulation 30? Because there's a lot of runoff from hardscape, for example, roofs, whatever driveway goes in. Are there going to be dry wells in this?
I think I have a
nitrogen-
drawing. It wasn't the preliminary landscape, but there was another one that I showed that, yeah, see, I have dry wells there.
Okay.
And, I did, again, I had to, the 69 Palmer was entirely between 100 and 200, and it was more closely bordered on the 100. So I'm familiar with, the containment of, I tried to draw in the, the roof pitches as they're being drawn, and will be downspotted and drawn to those dry wells as pictured, or, somewhere in the proximity of those.
The reason I'm asking is because
Yep.
we don't have jurisdiction on the septic.
Right,
Our regulations do call for no more than 19 milligrams per liter of nitrogen.
right,
And that includes not just the tank.
Right.
but any kind of fertilizing, roof drains.
Right.
Hardscaping. So if we don't know what's going on with the tank in terms of numbers, then we
The-
really don't know what we're talking about in terms of numbers left over to stay under that 19 with what you're going to do for your hardscape, your roof, your drains, your driveway. So we're kind of like, I find myself not being able to come to a decision about how much nitrogen would be running off this property.
you mentioned the tank, you're talking about.
The septic tank.
Okay, septic tank is out of jurisdiction.
Right.
I do have a nitrogen calculation in the pamphlet. I mean, in the proposal, it's there.
I might have missed that. Hold on.
And without the septic calculation, it's minuscule.
construction, lawn area, landscape plan.
Should be just before the Form 3, before the Form 3.
I'm gonna have to go onto my computer for that.
You,
Oh. Oh, perfect. Sure, let me get a look at that. Thank you.
you're killing me with these donuts, you know.
Well,
No, I'm
Only if you eat
no.
'em.
I just had my physical, and he said, "Shane, you're going to, death by fork," he called it.
Let me just take a minute to pass this around.
Yeah, oh, yeah, definitely.
That's exactly what I was referring to.
Yeah, I thought it was in there, you know.
I didn't see it.
And
so what was it, Mr. Chairman?
it's the,
It's 1 point something. Or, yeah.
it's a nitrogen
1.6585.
calculation sheet.
So we're cool with that.
It appears to be
We
fine.
are.
I want you all to take a look at it.
That's what I was hoping.
Let me think now.
Did you find
if there's
it, Dan?
anything else. The 6,800 square foot envelope, that indeed is just the envelope, because I believe it's a 5,000 square foot disturbance in the riparian zone.
So for the riparian zone within a riverfront, it is 5,000 square feet or 10% of the lot.
Or 10%.
10% of the riverfront
The
area.
riverfront buffer, I'm sorry, you're correct. In this case, your riverfront buffer is 65% of the lot, which puts you at around 7,100 square feet, somewhere
Right.
around there. So
Right,
my last check, you were 221 square feet under,
right.
is what you were.
Yeah,
So he
but-
is under the riverfront allowance.
But it's close.
It is
So you want
close.
to be
So he has
careful
a,
as you start your
Yeah.
excavation. I mean, it's
That's really close.
Yeah.
it's very close.
close.
And then what that, yeah, so what that's going to come down to is if there is any, as you were saying, changes that may occur, or you don't know
Yeah.
how the landscape or the hardscape's going to go in, if there is any, you would have a very little amount of wiggle room. So it might be a,
Yeah, I think you know, when I asked the civil engineer to plot that out, you know, I wanted to have more of the available space down towards the drive. And then really around the perimeter of the house, I just wanted to be away from falling and burning trees. It's only like, 20 feet, and you're right, it is tight, but, I'm conscious of that, and like I say, there won't be any spoils from excavation on that side, and actually, the protrudement on that side is a porch. It's not really part of the structure itself. I mean, it's part of the structure, but it isn't going to be excavated. So if you look at the house plan, the main part of the bulk of the house is a rectangle. It's a fairly simple excavation. And then that bump out that goes towards the perimeter is a 10 by 20 screen porch. It'll probably just be sonotubes. So, that area is, it's tight, but,
Alex, I'll come back to you.
No, my questions were, you said you were, I mean, I know it's not fully jurisdictional, but you said you were doing an IA system.
yes, sub-air.
That's
Yeah, the Board of Health would require that because they're
within
300.
300 feet.
Yeah, they moved it to,
Yeah.
and when I started this, I was outside 200, but now it's 300.
You'll be better off in the long run.
Oh, I know. Well, then all of a sudden, we have the sewer project, so I ran down, I said,
Yeah.
oh, he said, you're in phase 20 years from now, or whatever, so I said, okay. I just didn't know whether I should bury a pipe out to the street.
Might not be a bad idea. You have the machine.
What's that?
Might not be a bad idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I would.
So I think for us to approve this tonight, we would just need to know that you would be working with the commission staff further, as they
Yes.
already know you, but when you do decide to make changes to the landscape, when you decide what kind of hardscaping you're putting out there, and you work with them on that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, the staff's been wonderful, because again, I started into this thing on my own.
Right.
And then then found out exactly what it's all about when I first inquired. It was, well, 4 to 6 months, 8 to 10 grand. And I said, well, you know, I kind of assessed what I was trying to do, and it wasn't, you know, on a waterfront dock, you know,
Right.
swimming pools 5 feet from the ocean, whatever. I mean, it's a pretty substantial piece of property.
Right.
And I think I wrote in my summary that, you know, that it's, you know, it's situated where I would, you know, enjoy the privacy of having that much space.
Right.
You know, it allows it certainly allows me a buffer from the golf course, and I think it allows a substantial buffer to the adjoining lots. The barn might never happen, I don't know. You know, I mean, I have a couple of pieces of equipment that I wouldn't mind getting in out of the rain, but then again, I might sell them.
Right.
You know, I don't know, I'm looking forward to building it. You know, I built the house around the corner at 69 and finished it right when everything kind of went south in 2006. So I moved in. I became a resident of Quashnet Valley Estates. You know, you know, it is kind of interesting that the upland portion, you know, once you hit the dotted line at the 100-foot, you know, you can see how fast that drops off. And I mean, it's impenetrable down there. And then once you get up topside, it's a very gradual slope. You know, it's immature scrubs and
Right.
I don't know the species, but you know, it's more of a canopied a woodland type of an area, not necessarily something that's an acute wetland.
Right, but I'm hearing that you want to live in the woods. You're not going to just, everything outside the 200 is going to be grass. I'm hearing that that's not your intention.
In that area there, I mean, in that wedge area that's surrounding, you know, again, I mean, the flat area is as you look forward of the house
Yeah.
down there. You know, so, you know, I do have area, you know, up above the garage.
Right.
You know, I don't want to cut a lot of grass.
Right.
You know, I mean, I wanted to have the I won't say luxury, but, you know, the opportunity to have some sort of a, you know, lawn, whatever.
Okay. Clover.
All set?
Yeah, clover.
Clover, yes.
Okay,
Go
let me,
ahead.
I'll go out to the public, those that are here tonight. If there's anybody that has questions or comments on the project, yes, ma'am. If you would come up to the table, please, and give us your name for the record.
My name is Sandy Allen, and I'm at 81 Sneed Drive. And I had a question, more or less, for Bob, and that is, you've owned this land for about 4 years, and there's equipment, there's dirt pile, there's a couple of trailer thingies parked back there that we've been looking at. My question is, when do you think you're going to start to build your home?
I have Steve, who's recused himself, is drawing my plans. This is the first hurdle. I have a septic design that is supposed to be next week. If the lights all turn green, I expect to be in the ground in a month. You know, I think I said at my beginning of my presentation, I bought this just pre-COVID in December of that year. Again, I had the house around the corner that, you know, that I was looking to sell before I embarked on this. Plans had to be made. I had to have the land surveyed, which took a little bit of time. And then when COVID happened, again, I'm in the construction business. I wasn't about to build my forever home with $67 CDX when it should cost you $18. And those costs have come down. You know, I had a couple of surgeries that set me back a little bit, another knee surgery, knee replacement. I'm very anxious to get going. We're renting a house now that we're a little bit uncomfortable in Pecasset. So I'm quite anxious to get going. As far as I ran into a situation where I opened up the driveway area and I had some debris there, and when it finally got surveyed, it encroached on the 200 foot, and you know, we do, so I had to remove all of that. And basically, when that happened, I wasn't really going to do much more on the site until, you know, I had the proper approvals, et cetera. You know, I apologize. I mean, the trailers, one is full of windows for the house, so, you know, I'm committed. The other one basically has stuff, tools and storage from the house that we moved out of. You know, you can ask my wife who's sitting in the audience. We're pretty anxious to get going. Again, I apologize for any inconvenience. I mean, it is down, you know, several hundred feet in the woods. So if it does present an eyesore, again, you have my apologies, but I am quite anxious to get going on this.
And you said earlier that at least what I thought I heard you say is that the barn may never be built? Or?
Well, I mean, I have the pieces of equipment there, you know, so.
Well, yeah, that's what I was wondering. Are you always going to have the equipment in the yard?
If I have the equipment, it'll be in a barn. If I decide that I need to dispose of it, then it'll be gone. You know,
Okay.
yeah. I mean,
One last thing I did
Yeah.
have when I was reading the notice of intent, and I'm not sure that this is going to happen because I wasn't sure when I read it.
Okay.
There was reference to a stand of trees, of pines that would be
which-
taken down. Where was that located?
No, there was a stand of pines that I didn't want to disturb.
Okay,
Those are down behind Agnes's, I mean, to the right of the house, up in the upper corner,
okay.
up that way. I mean, it's quite wooded, quite nicely wooded up in
Yes,
that area.
yes,
And that affords a buffer to those homes there.
right.
You know, and I'm not going to be up there. You know, I want to be down.
Okay, I was
Away
just.
from there.
I was just concerned where the trees were
Well,
going
one
to
of
be
the
taken down.
things that I've looked into is I'm looking into doing a solar array on the garage.
Yes, that's what I read.
Right, and, you know, one of the reasons that I mentioned as far as moving the house further into the lot and over was so I didn't have to disrupt all of that wooded area in the upper right.
Okay,
Because, you know, obviously, I situated those houses, or the house, so that garage faces due south. So that, you know, due south at a 30-degree angle is what they say is the optimal solar azimuth? Mm-hmm. Absinthe? That's what you drink. So, I don't know, you know, it's basically the area up in the upper right-hand corner that affords, you know, not only my privacy, but also the lots up in there. 81 is where, down below?
the pie-shaped one, next to Agnes.
Oh, next to Agnes. Oh, okay, sure, yep. Yeah, so when you look out, you know, there's some pretty mature trees in that
Right.
wooded area.
That was my concern.
Yeah. Well,
All right, thank
All
you
right.
very much.
All right.
Answered my questions, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else that has questions? Yes, sir.
How are you?
Good evening.
Tony Venuti, President, Washington Valley Homeowners Association. Just a curious question, and I can't see the contours on the map, but the runoff from the proposed driveway, would that runoff be going into his site or onto Sneed Drive? And the reason I ask that question is we have a problem at Lower Sneed Drive right now with runoff coming from the golf course, and the catch basins can't handle the water, so we get 2 or 3 feet of water flooded at the end of the road. And if you look at Sneed Drive comes down away from his site, and the number of catch basins that are on that road right now have difficult time handling the runoff. So I'm not sure what the contours say relative to the access road to his property.
Yeah, if you come in off Sneed, it goes reasonably level and then it goes down. I mean, it doesn't run up.
So it's not running on a
No, no, no.
Okay.
If you, I mean, if you go and you look at the mud lines, you know, and the, you know, with the heavy rains,
Right.
it's all down a
Okay.
lot, you know, and I'm gonna level the drive and, you know, actually, my plan for the driveway is actually to kind of make a little bit of a serpentine move down, you know, because right
Right.
now it's straight in towards, in the upper left-hand corner, those are my storage trailers.
Right.
You know, when you stand at the street, you look at the trailers.
Yep.
In the end game, you're going to look down the driveway, and after an entry, I plan to have like a double ribbon drive, you know, like shells or stones, that creeps left and then cuts back to the right with kind of an island that kind of, you know, precludes
Right.
your line of sight directly down the drive. But all of the runoff, it doesn't come from, if you look at it, the grade at the front of the drive to the house goes actually down, and then it dips. And the dip further down in is where I'm going to, you know, put some of the spoils from excavation.
So does this site plan be required to show where those, how he's going to handle that drainage on the property? I mean, I didn't see any catch basins or holding areas for water coming down that driveway.
The
I think
driveway.
that's the question. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, I think for conservation purposes,
That's,
you know, it shows the dry wells in and around the proposed structure. As far as the driveway goes, there'll probably be some sort of a catch basin at the you know, kind of at the bottom, a little bit up, Dan. Yeah, somewhere in that area there, because that's, you know, the grade goes down. The grade falls off from Agnes's house towards mine, and then it kind of levels out. And then it goes, you know, dips down. I don't know whether I have the
the
other.
driveway area is non-jurisdictional for this commission. It's outside of the 200.
No, but I understand, but the driveway runs into the property, which is under your jurisdiction. The question is, if there's water running down the driveway, from a jurisdictional point of view, how do you handle that in a conservation point of view? That's my question.
I thought your question referred to water running out of the driveway onto the
Well,
street.
the water's going to run either way.
Right.
So the question is, if it's running onto his site, you have jurisdiction over that.
Yes, once it
And I-
crosses
So
that
do
200
you
foot.
require that on the plans to be proposed and certified? Or how do you handle that?
The final plan that would be submitted would have all of the proposed contour grading, and then we would be able to determine if there is going to be a problem of that water backing down in. And then he'd be working with the staff would identify that, and they may require some type of a dry well situation if it looks to be a flooding problem.
All right.
But again, it would have to be inside that 200 feet.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my question.
Sure.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Once again, contour grading reappeared.
That one down.
I'm just saying.
Anyone else that has a question or comment? Okay, hearing none. Dan, I'm going to come back to you for agent's comments.
All right.
We'll go from there.
So, resource area here is riverfront on the Quashnet River only. Proposed construction of a new single-family home. Most of the home and associated landscaping are within the 200-foot setback of riverfront. Garage and separate accessory dwelling unit, septic system, and portion of driveway are outside of the riverfront. While the narrative states the nitrogen nitrate loading, there are no supporting calculations, so that should be known. Project meets the standards for development within riverfront, including not exceeding the 10% threshold of the area of lot within riverfront that can be developed. Alternative analysis provided in the project narrative. The plan does lack illustrations when it comes to proposed landscaping / hardscaping in areas around the home within riverfront. If commission deems more details are required here, then a revised plan can be submitted and reviewed by staff. Agent recommends a close and issue.
Could I, you mentioned something about nitrogen in his notes?
Yes.
Yes, but
Did he
those,
not see that calc?
when those notes were created, I'm assuming he didn't see the calculations that you just presented to us.
Oh,
So
okay, I thought it was in the packet.
I saw that as he was,
It is in the
all right,
packet.
all right.
So that is in the packet. I just got to
Okay,
read
all
the
right,
comments as they
yeah.
stand.
Yeah.
That's all.
I'm sorry.
that one comment's not applicable at this point, because we
Right.
have it. We have it. And Board of Health? You want to
So-
go through that too?
Yeah, Board of Health, if SAS is proposed to be located within 300 feet of a resource area, full compliance with the Board of Health IA systems regulations is required. Floor plans to be reviewed upon submission to the Buildings Department, septic design plans to be reviewed upon submission to Board of Health. So that would be within 300 feet,
Right,
so yes.
right, yeah.
And you have not submitted that yet, or you have?
Building plans?
To the Board of Health?
I have not. Steve
Okay.
is,
So we're still waiting.
I'm working with Steve on that, yeah. But I'm fully cognizant of the fact that I have to go IA.
Yeah.
Those plans, I should have them, again, middle of next week. Again, I'm trying to get going. You know, I really a little anxious.
I hear you. Okay, then. Any final questions or comments before I ask for a motion? We're all good? Alex, all set? Okay, if there is a motion, then I would accept that.
What conditions are we discussing?
Well, I know that there was your question about the siltation barriers,
Which I
and,
did see in the drawings.
okay,
It
so
did
we're
show
we're
it.
good with that.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing is the ongoing work with conservation staff,
Yeah.
especially in light of the fact that it's a very close call to the limit of disturbance in the outer riparian zone. You know, it's, I forget what it was, 200 and something square feet.
It's like
Yeah, it was like-
less than this.
Yeah, it was very little amount, but he is under.
And we don't have mitigation proposals, landscaping, so we want to have him working with conservation staff to have that approved. It's very possible, if there is an order issued tonight, that he would be back for an amended order. You know, if something is going to change, anything that takes place within that riparian zone, if it changes based on what we have before us tonight, if this is approved, he would have to come back for an amended order of conditions with whatever
We don't
specific
have-
change.
Yeah.
We don't have loads of details.
We
That's
don't.
right.
I mean, there's a lot of wiggle
So
room.
I'm anticipating it's going to be coming back if it does get approved. Or you can ask for,
I feel like it's the opposite. I feel like it won't come back because there's so much wiggle room where if he changes things, he has room to change things and work within that disturbed area because we're not seeing the landscaping plan. We're not seeing
Right,
all of that.
right.
So if anything, it's like, this is like the most loose proposal and he has the wiggle room within it, which is fine as long as it's meeting the standards. So,
Didn't, Drew, though, excuse me, Alex, though, didn't Drew say as one of the conditions, he wanted to see more of the,
If
you
we,
should want to see
if
more.
we deem
Illustration.
more details are required.
Right.
Then we can ask for the applicant to submit a revised plan.
Yeah,
Are we asking that? I mean, we
Well-
need to condition that if we're deciding to
yes,
ask.
you would have
that's
to
why, that's
condition
what
that.
I'm bringing it up for.
So it's more than just ongoing work.
You
So
wouldn't
the
mind
staff
doing
is
that,
dealing with the revised
right?
plans.
This
We're not
is
gonna do that.
landscape.
We would deal with the
More-
revised plans, the staff, and if
Revise the
it's
plan.
above and beyond
Dan
what's
will
on
tell
this
you.
paper here, which honestly, most likely it will be.
It has to be.
Then it would be an amended order from there. So that doesn't mean he can't start construction.
Right.
With that order, he just can't do any of the add-ons that he would want to do until that amended order is
Okay.
gone through.
You could condition it to have him submit the revised plans.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't really want to,
Which
not
would
that I
allow
don't
him
want
to
to look
get
at them. I would be fine looking at them. But if it can be approved by staff, I'd rather, like,
I think that's exactly what Drew was asking.
yeah, and I think, I mean, as long as it's not going outside of that disturbed area, I think the staff can have the flexibility to work on that. I mean, we're seeing the dry wells, the septic is what we would have wanted anyway. We know
Yeah.
the limited disturbed area.
Right.
And then, okay,
There's the issue, too, of the potential runoff that may revert back into his property inside the 200-foot riparian zone. all of a sudden we see we have an issue there, that would have to be addressed as well. That was brought up by.
Yeah, I would
Tony
recommend,
earlier, public.
I would recommend on any condition, conditioning that you just also put the grading as well, has to be on the plan.
Grading on plan. Okay.
And that's all I have on my notes.
Okay. I think I can do that.
When I did 69 Palmer, again, my work limit, I was actually constructed right hard against the baggy. So I am cognizant of, the runoffs and things of that nature. And again, that, I came before the Commission for Landscaping post construction. And as it turned out, I ended up putting a retaining wall in front and leveling the front lawn. So it was, it was a little bit beyond, my vision when I first constructed the house. And, I, drew up a landscape plan post.
Yeah, no, I get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I understand, it's, again,
I think it's the difference between engineers and like builders.
Right.
The engineers dream it up and
Oh,
they
yeah.
tell you how it would perfectly be done, and then the builders do it how it needs to be done. So I get that you want to do it and then have the
Yeah.
space to figure it out
Yeah.
afterwards. So I think we can close this if you're willing to accept the motion. I would make a motion to close an issue for 87 and 89 Sneed Drive for Bob and Linda Ellsworth with the condition that you submit a revised plan showing the landscaping and hardscaping areas and working with the staff on that.
And also any potential runoff. I mean, I've been there after some of these torrential rains and, been down in the, I'll call it, for lack of a better word, the hollow, and it's, it's not, I mean, the soils are so sandy in that area that
Yeah.
most everything gets absorbed, and any of the inconsistencies in contour that exist in the
So.
drive.
So we'll include that and the grades need to be shown on, the contour lines need to be shown on the plan.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, so we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Sandy. So we have a motion and a second on the table for further discussion or review, questions? We're good? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Alex?
Yes.
Thank you. Marjorie?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
And I guess we'll see each other again.
I'm sure you'll be back.
Aren't you excited?
I'll bring some pretty pictures.
And you bring the donuts next.
Did you notice I haven't touched them?
I want one.
They say, I don't know
They're
what,
too far away.
No?
it's a goodwill gesture to everyone.
Oh, I was going to bring them over to you. I was going to bring them over to you.
There you
No, I
go.
just had my physical. He says, you have your numbers are like a 28-year-old. He says, but I'm afraid of death by force.
That means,
Death by
that means
force.
you can have a honeydew,
Yeah.
right?
All right.
See? I'm serious, right? After 7 o'clock at night,
See, you're losing your audience.
slam.
You're losing your audience.
They were all here to see you apparently.
Oh, my neighbors.
All your neighbors. I wasn't sure, are they all in your favor?
Well, they're my neighbors.
Great, thank you.
Thank you again.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Okay, now calling the 6:15 hearing for 0 Nathan Ellis Highway, Town of Mashpee. This is a request to extend the order of conditions, DEP file number 433080. Representative is LEC Environmental Consultants.
I don't have anything in my folder, do you guys?
Yeah, me too.
There should just be, it's just this letter at the top.
Hold on.
Right there.
I don't.
Oh,
What's going on here?
I was very confused.
I read it online.
They're just requesting an extension of time? Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, this is, so he is on Zoom.
Okay, let's bring him in if we can.
I don't know why.
volunteer work dues all the time, and we don't. So I'm like a
So his audio is not
His
working.
audio isn't working.
Yeah.
I see that, yeah.
But I can.
Okay, can we go back to the letter?
Just a little bit, yeah. Absolutely.
All right. Condition.
You're gonna either have to read that or enlarge it.
I can read it if you like.
What?
I can read it.
Yeah,
Why don't you read it into the record? That'd be great.
yeah.
Dear members of the commission, on behalf of the applicant, the town of Mashpee Department of Public Works, LEC Environmental Consultants Incorporated is submitting the request to extend the order of conditions for the Route 151 Nathan Ellis Highway Corridor Improvement Project, DEP file number SC 433080. An order of conditions was issued by the Mashpee Conservation Commission on September 16th, 2020. And the abutter subsequently requested a superseding order of conditions from the Department of Environmental Protection, and the DEP issued a superseding order of conditions May 31st, 2021. Approving the project subject to certain conditions, the order of conditions issued under the Town of Mashpee Wetlands Protection Bylaw and Regulation, Chapter 172, was not appealed and remains in effect. The project was ultimately phased with Phase 1 currently under construction, Mashpee Rotary to Old Barnstable Road. Phase 2 extends from Old Barnstable Road to Falmouth Town Line. The applicant is requesting a 3-year extension of the order of conditions in order to complete the project of Phase 2. Thank you for your consideration of this request. If you have any questions or require additional information, please do not hesitate to contact.
Okay.
Why would a butter request a superseding order of conditions?
I'm going to go from memory,
Yeah.
because I was on the commission for this.
Yeah.
There was an abutter that was concerned about runoff in some of the areas where there's wetlands, and we have the jurisdiction. And we conditioned the work, and they weren't happy with the conditions that we had put in place. They wanted to appeal it.
Okay.
Just moved on.
They wanted more what?
They just wanted to appeal it. They felt as though the conditions that the commission at the time issued were not adequate to protect the integrity of the wetlands. I don't know.
I thought it was the opposite.
What extra
Okay.
would have, transpired.
Yeah.
But the DEP issued a superseding order, nobody appealed it, and the project began. My question would be, are they going to finish Phase 1 before they start Phase 2? Because I know the poles still need to be hooked up, and, I don't know what's going on with that. And we've
Is
got
that Zoom?
we've got a video, maybe we have
Okay.
an audio, maybe you could tell us that.
Yeah.
Looks like Brian's in his basement.
Hi, Brian.
I wonder if you can hear us.
He cannot, no.
No.
Is he muted?
No, I tried to log into the phone one, and it came up with a different number.
Oh. Hi, can you hear?
He's waving.
There's a little bit of a lag, I think.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
No.
Sorry about that, Brian. I don't know if you can hear us or not.
It's apparent that you can.
Is there any reason why we wouldn't approve this?
No.
I can't think of one.
No,
Okay.
this is the DPW.
So let's-
That's working on it today.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Want to just jump in, everybody together? Come
Chairman, make a
on.
motion to,
Wait. He has to tell you when he wants it. You want it?
Yeah, I'm set.
Okay.
I'll take a motion if there is one.
okay, make a motion for 0 Nathan Ellis Highway, Town of Mashpee, for extend the order conditions 43-3080 for timeframe of 3 years?
3 years.
3 years.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
I'll second.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion, questions, comments? The one comment I'll make is that our agent Drew has said that there are no issues with extending this the extra 3 years. So
Perfect.
I think we're in good shape. I mean, I was just curious if they're going to finish up Phase 1
Yeah.
before they started
It's a
ripping up the rest of the road.
legit question.
Okay. Hearing no further discussion, I'll call for a vote. Alex?
Yes.
Thank you, Steve.
Yes.
Marjorie?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Motion carries unanimously. I'd say goodbye, Brian, but you don't hear us anyways. Let's just all wave. Bye.
You were brilliant.
See, he has no idea. Okay. I'm going to now call the 6:18 hearing for 11 Taffrail Way. Gregory R. and Hillary Lee. This is a request for a minor change to a previously approved seawall on order of conditions, DEP file number 43-3133, under administrative approval. Representative is Cape and Islands Engineering. Good evening, sir. Can we have you, I know what it is, but can we have your name for the record?
Good evening, Mark Dibb with Cape and Islands Engineering, representing the applicant at 11 Taffrail. So this project was approved back in October of 21 under order condition 43-3133. It did also go through the Chapter 91 process and was granted a license. For those that were here or not here, it was to replace a failed soft solution that had been repaired at least once. And, you know, I think the client just wanted a more permanent solution for the site. It was approved by the commission, and then went through the relatively lengthy Chapter 91 process. And when we did a pre-construction site walk, it wasn't an official conservation pre-construction site walk. I'll just make that note. Drew was not there, but they were just the contractor was working on pricing, and you know we walked with the contractor, the owner, and myself, and which created this request and change. Some things that came along, so mostly the change has to do with construction protocols and what we feel is a reduction in impact if this were granted. So a few things, and I put them right on the plan. This change would allow all construction to be completed from the land. It will make it so that a barge up in this water body is not required, which is a pretty significant improvement in my mind. The barge would, it's just a small water body. There's chances of the barge hitting the ground, you know. We felt that being able to build this thing from the land only was a good improvement to the process. Let me go back one second here. The change is to increase the height of the wall from 3.6 from elevation 3.6 to elevation 5. So 1 foot 1.4 feet or 1 feet 5 inches. And just backed, and then the other thing that this will improve is the slope from the house, and for much of the property, there's a pretty significant slope from the back of the house down to what was the old soft solution and to what would be the new wall. And I think that was possibly a major factor of why the soft solution failed a couple of times. And what this would do is, not greatly, but it would change the slope. I mean, we're talking about, we're talking about 1.5 feet over, the 5 or 6 feet that are available there. So we feel that just any chance to reduce the slope of runoff coming down off the site could be beneficial to the project from further erosion. And those were the two main things, and the reduced slope will also most likely provide a better chance for the stabilization that we've proposed to take hold in the site. And then the one impact, I guess I would call it, is over this entire length, again, to fill in that triangle, basically 1.5 feet high by maybe a couple feet deep to blend it in, is approximately 11 cubic yards of fill to do that. But that, again, is spread over a few hundred feet for this length of wall. We just feel it's a a minor change that's actually should be a benefit to the property and to the project and to potential impacts from construction and overall impacts based on being able to stabilize the project. I think that is what I wanted to cover, and if you have any, like to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Okay. Questions that anybody has regarding what we have in front of us?
I feel like I don't know how to ask questions because I don't know what the original order of conditions was, and I know this is limited to certain changes to that. I just feel like I don't know how to ask questions. I don't know how to ask questions. Like, is there any option for it to not just be grass that's going back, or like, are those things that we can touch upon, or? I don't know.
Mark, let me ask you, all the tiebacks that are in here, those are on the original order, correct?
Correct, yep.
Okay, so you're just looking to bring in some extra fill and raise that wall a tiny bit. How does that preclude not using the barge? Why does it make a difference?
It just creates a little bit more level area. It's that, we're talking that close that a mini machine can get by.
Okay.
Just by, you know, just that difference in blending it, they feel that they can start at this end and work over, and then they will have a stable and flat enough area to continue, you know, piece by piece and move along, versus they felt, you know, we're talking just basically inches at this point to, they feel comfortable in being able to achieve the project from the land if, with this.
And how do you come up with 11 yards, cubic yards? What's the calculation? I mean, is it a tapered depth?
Yeah, it was basically the best I could from our topo information, you know, basically created a triangle, that
Right.
area of that triangle over the linear feet was my estimate of.
And how does it affect the existing pier?
It does not. If the existing elevations on the existing pier, I believe the land section, the one section to do the install will definitely have to be removed to
Right,
push those
front
things
section,
down. But it does not affect the existing pier. It's
Still
just
have
high enough.
Clearance underneath that
Yes.
for people to walk through.
Yeah, and I looked today, the stone wall, the neighboring stone wall, the top of that is about 4.8, 4.9. So, you know, it does blend together with the two neighboring properties.
Dan, do you have any photos?
For this, I don't have any photos, no, unfortunately.
I'm just curious, were you involved in this project in the beginning?
Correct.
So why didn't you just ask for that height to begin with?
At that point, we were focused on the approximate height of the originally designed soft solution. So there was a core log soft solution. So wherever the top of that was essentially where we were trying to replace the wall. So it didn't, regarding construction-related protocols and, you know, the original order did allow a barge, you know, did allow different things. I wouldn't want to absolutely 100% restrict, you know, as part of this, a barge, but the contractor is comfortable that a barge will not be needed. You know, I can't say any unforeseen things. It'll be, if a barge is needed, it'll be per the order of conditions, you know, at a certain high tides and that window of high tide, it's all in there. But they believe it will not be needed.
I would assume there was working hours that the barge could
Yes.
only be in there, right?
Yeah,
Because
probably
shallow.
within 2 hours of high tide or something like that.
Mark, what was the previously approved, was it just the same grass that was approved on the original order conditions? You just putting it back in the same salt tolerant?
Yeah.
So the original order of conditions had, so like, are the 8 trees that are under that green strip gone? Are those all being replaced with grass because you're bringing in fill and regrading it?
They are proposed to be saved.
How do you save a tree putting in
Foot and a half.
it would die?
There is not, again, we're talking about at the deepest point, at the farthest point, we're talking about 1.5 foot. So even these trees, the 2 8-inch, there's basically 3 that are relatively close to the face of the wall. It should only be 6 inches, less.
Yeah, I mean, if you mulch a tree the wrong way and you put the Kona mulch up the bark, you can compromise it.
I know that at a pre-construction meeting, 'cause that's a requirement, I mean, one of the trees is 80% roots exposed, hanging into the water, it would be requested at that time, and that might be an admin type thing. There's definitely at least one tree that's in poor shape because of the failure of the soft solution. But there is no specific, like all the tiebacks are spaced to attempt to save every tree.
So none of this work has been started?
Correct.
I haven't been out to the site. I'm just concerned when I look at the aerial footage, like the aerial photos of it, it's all wooded between it looks like 30 feet between the house and the water. And I get that there is a slope, I get that you want to fill it in, change the grade. I like the idea of accessing it landside rather than bringing a barge up there. I just want to make sure that those trees aren't compromised. And if they do die as a result of this, they are replaced in kind on the property closest to the resource area.
I mean, we fully anticipated a pre-construction meeting and reviewing every tree, with the agent, if that's a requirement, prior to a shovel being on the ground, and then we would be open to replacing anything that is deemed imminent to fail, or if that's okay.
Steve, have you been on this site? No. Marjorie? Have you done a site visit on this?
Oh, I did not.
Okay, Aaron, have you? Sandy? I have not either.
You want us to?
Well, I'm wondering if we should postpone acting on this until the commission has had a chance to look at the tree that Mark is talking about, the one that's obviously in jeopardy, but, the viability of the trees that are there and what kind of environmental damage could be done if we were to approve raising this wall another foot and a half. I don't feel all that comfortable either, knowing that you're looking at an aerial photograph only, and it looks like it's fairly wooded on that end of the lot.
Yeah.
Well, if we're going to do that, Mr. Chairman, is there a way to get the original? Like Alex was asking for.
Isn't that the original order of conditions
Yeah, the
as
original
well?
order. And then,
That can be sent out to everyone, you can take that with you,
I think
go
it would be
onto
good,
the site.
yeah, we could compare.
Everything's staked out, right?
Yes, there's even a couple stakes with the 5 grade on it too. So
Right.
for that exact reason, to see.
Where no one has done a site visit, and we have all the voting commissioners here, I feel uncomfortable moving ahead with this. I'd rather err on the side of caution, get a good look at it, and then you might have some legitimate, I was just solution thinking while you were talking that perhaps you could even do, like wells around these trees to stop them from, being encroached by that extra, I don't know.
Right.
Because I haven't seen it either.
Can I just ask one quick question?
Sure.
We did originally request an administrative approval from Drew. He suggested we come to the board. Is the process okay? I mean, if you say yes or no, that's fine.
Is it I think it's an amended order of conditions, ultimately. It doesn't say that, but that's, I think, what you're asking for, is to amend the order of conditions to change some details.
We actually requested one of your, I don't think you see these much, a formal administrative approval paperwork.
So an AR. an administrative review.
Before, it doesn't have to come to
but-
us.
They don't typically come before us, but I don't know that an AR really is appropriate when you're changing an order of conditions. I don't know that.
Well, I can give you a little bit of history. We go back probably a year and a half, and the commission voted that administrative approvals should come before the commission for their review before they move forward. And this is
That's
a
interesting.
very good example why. This is borderline amended order of conditions.
Right.
I mean, it's a whole different, I mean, no barge is going to be involved, which is great, but the wall's coming up a little bit, which is maybe not too great, especially for those trees that are there. I question the 11 cubic yards because 11 could become 15 or 20, who knows?
Right.
So if you were going to approve this tonight, would you put a strict limit at 11 and say no more?
How
They'd
would
have
you
to come
know?
back, you know. And I'm thinking, I haven't seen it, that's why I polled everybody here, no one has seen it. I think it's prudent for us to, you know,
Yeah.
wait till the next meeting, get out there, get the original order of conditions, take a look at it. Perhaps you could be available as well, everybody could go out and take a look.
Yeah, I'm not,
Be more educated.
yeah, I'm not questioning continuing or anything like that. I'm just wondering if so it sounds like there is a process that if you guys are okay with it, you say yes, and then Drew or Dan issues an administrative approval, and it doesn't actually amend the order. Because we could also submit an amended order request too, but,
But we could go this route, we don't know if we're okay with it, so we want to look at it.
I mean,
Nobody
if
has-
you're not okay with it, then whatever route we go, it doesn't really matter. So,
Right, exactly.
okay. I mean, yeah, I'd like to, get that determination made if you're okay with it. If we still need to then amend paperwork, that's fine.
Okay.
We can.
So, I will,
So real quick, you said they're going to be planting grass along it, but the order of conditions has it as installation of native plantings along the top of the bank.
It said native grass mix on the plan.
Yeah.
That was just my point of
Okay, we
confusion,
can-
honestly. That was
This is,
it.
I think, what we need to iron out.
Yeah, we can, it's fine.
What's going to happen to the trees? What's going back there?
okay, so here's what we're going to do.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
One comment is, I understand the construction part of it, that Mark's saying, and stabilize instead of bringing a barge, which I agree with, and the height of the wall, I have no problem there. I do agree with you saying that, okay, yeah, maybe these trees should be checked out, and, you know, say, okay, how much fill, and so forth there. I think a site visit is prudent.
Yeah.
on that end, but construction-wise, I think, yeah, it's a good solution to eliminate a barge coming into that.
It's a better
area. I know
process,
that
right.
Body of water and getting a barge in there would be very tight, difficult, so.
Okay.
I just want to make that comment.
Okay, so here's what I would suggest, that we get the original order of conditions sent out to all the commissioners. We can then schedule a site visit. Everybody can take a look at it, either on their own or come as a group. We can,
We have to advertise it for a group, right?
Yes.
yeah, we would.
Yeah, I would recommend.
Yeah, we could have 3 commissioners,
3 at a time.
3 at a time, 1 at a time, 2 at a time.
Yeah, I know.
Get-
I'm closest, I think.
I'm just interested in get a good look at it.
Yeah.
And to review the original order, because it goes back to 2021, September? Yeah, that's a ways back, so I think that's the way to go. So I would accept a motion as to,
Okay,
Make
Mr.
this
Chairman,
official.
make a motion for 11 Tapper Way for a continuance to,
Yeah, when should we continue?
what's the date? Yeah,
So September 21st, 6:15.
9/21, 6/15.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Motion made and seconded. Questions that you might have about getting your materials, and we'll schedule some times where a few commissioners can go out, and perhaps Cape and Islands could be at one of those, or Drew could be there, or Dan, and we'll just get a better look at it.
Great.
Okay, I'll call for a vote. Alex?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Marjorie?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, Mark. We'll be in touch. We have 2 Certificates of compliance, both have passed. 53 Godfrey Road, Caroline R. Goodman, trustee, and 10 Pompanesett Island Road, Leslie A. Wagner, Caffin. And the agent says that both have passed, no issues. So we're good with those. Yes.
And you'll pass them around for us to sign.
And then I'm going to go back to the pre- and post-hearing agenda. Apparently, we're not going to have a presentation by the Friends of Mashpee.
I guess not tonight.
They're not here?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's a bummer.
Okay. Approval of meeting minutes. I'll go with the first one of July 27th, 2023. Those voting on this would be Paul Colombo, Alexandra Zolo, Marjorie Claproot, and Sandra Godfrey. Did you have enough time to look at those minutes? We're good with that, Alex? You've seen the minutes, you're all set? I've read them, I didn't see any issues with those. I'll entertain a motion on that set of minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Marjorie. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, Sandy. Any discussion, questions on it?
Particularly well-written, I might say.
Brad's right
Good job,
there.
Bradford.
Okay, I'll call for a vote. Sandy?
Yes.
Aaron? Marjorie?
Yes.
Oh, wait a second. Aaron, you're not voting. Sorry.
What happened? You're not supposed to vote?
Take that back. That was my mistake. Alex?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That motion carries unanimously. The second set of minutes, August 10th, 2023, we just got that this morning. So as I mentioned to the hearing of 339 Monomoskoye, I'm not going to allow that to move forward until everyone's had enough time to read through that, and we'll do it at the next meeting. Discussion on Mashpee water quality issues and initiatives, ongoing discussion item. I'm going to go out to the audience first.
Dan, your mic might be on the computer. They're getting feedback on
Oh, I wonder if it's mine.
I don't know.
It could be me, I don't know. Not me. Maybe it's not me. Okay, on water quality discussion, I'm going to go out to the audience first, to Alex, who's here from the Enterprise, because I know you just spent some time out on a boat with Barnstable Clean Waters and Nicole Corbett. Would you like to address the commission on what you saw? Because I was on that same boat 2 weeks earlier.
Meggerly. Meggerly. I can spell it for you if you want. Megerle. It's a big moment for me at the mic.
I'm just curious,
Yeah, I am working on a feature about Nicole Corbett and her work with invasive seaweeds and jellyfish. So she and Luke from Barnstable Clean Water Coalition took me out on the water earlier this week, and then went on a little walk along Pompanesett Beach as well. And so hopefully that will be done next week if I have time to finish it.
Is the feature on the jellyfish or on the whole area?
It's primarily on Nicole and the work that she's doing. So jellyfish and seaweed, probably a little bit about kind of where she's gotten to where she is.
That's great.
Yeah, she's got some fascinating work that she's been conducting over the past few years.
Mhm.
And I had the opportunity, I mentioned to you people that I was going out, and I was amazed at what I saw. Did you do underwater video as well?
They did. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
amazing.
Yep. Didn't see much of it. It was very sunny, and the screen is kind of gets
Yeah,
a lot
it's
of
hard to
glare.
see it until it's downloaded off there, and it's on the computer.
And it's very murky from what I was told. But yeah, so
Great, well, thank you.
yeah,
Appreciate
of course.
Terrific, yeah.
Looking forward to the article.
Flip the whole thing.
I know, right?
Anything else that somebody would like to bring up under the water quality discussion? No?
I have one other thing I want to just bring up at the end of the meeting.
Okay. Then I'm going to move on to updates. Dan, I'm going to turn this over to you, or if there's something here that the commissioners have a specific question you want to target, I'll just let Dan go through them.
So Red Brook Culvert, discussion with association representatives from Falmouth and Mashpee for the sale of association land. Wacoit Bay Research Reserve submitting a letter of interest for grant funding to purchase association lands for eventual wetland restoration and to incorporate parcels into the Mashpee Wildlife Refuge System. Existing grant from Mass Executive Office of Environmental Affairs will cover planning and permitting for the culvert replacement. Upper Quashnet Restoration, ongoing planning for public scoping of 25% design plans. Bylaw Review Subcommittee, the agent will schedule the next meeting. Johns Pond and Santuit Milfoil, no updates as of yet. Chop Shake Bog Restoration, notice of intent to be filed for late September, early October for commission review. Local Comprehension Plan, no updates. Land Acquisition Subcommittee, agent recommends adding this to the Environmental Oversight Committee as an ongoing agenda item.
Okay. I don't understand how that works. Can you explain how that would work?
We have the chair of the Environmental Oversight Committee here, Mr. Wheaton, if he wanted to shed some light on it, I don't know. You might not be prepared, David, but you're here, so why not go right to the source?
How you doing, David Whedon, Mashpee Select Board, Environmental Oversight Committee Chair. Could you repeat the question?
Sure, yeah. So, our agent is recommending that a land acquisition subcommittee is added to the Environmental Oversight Committee as an ongoing agenda item. Is that saying that the Environmental Oversight Committee is just wrapping land acquisition into their charge? Or is that saying that, I don't understand what that's saying.
For me, I would have to do some background research to see if we're empowered to create and establish subcommittees under the Environmental Oversight Committee. I'm not prepared to answer that one.
Okay, so putting that kind of committee under the EOC rather than under Concom. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think it would be good to have discussions and, maybe prior to the next meeting, which is next Wednesday, I can reach out to town manager and get some guidance as to if the committee would be, or even town council, whether or not the Environmental Oversight Committee would be within the right to do that, or their authority.
And I think that the Concom can do that. So there is there is a fallback if the EOC can't, because I believe the Concom can. I have personally been pushing for this for over a year. So it feels like it's just like, oh, well, let's just push it to EOC because now they're established. I was hoping that this model could work where a subcommittee under the Conservation Commission, inviting in other people to be part of it from other groups to represent them, could report to the EOC and to elevate things to that group once there's something to bring forward.
For me, I'd like to have kind of healthy discussion around it to see where it fits best and where it's going to be most effective. Whether it lives with the Environmental Oversight Committee or if it lives with the Conservation, or is it independent of the two. Talk through it, kind of think through it, and try and get some guidance from town manager's office and town council to see, where it would be most appropriate and be most effective. I wouldn't want conservation, where they're involved with conservation reviews of plans and things, to have that somehow affect the work they do from identifying parcels and things that might be targets for acquisition or conservation. If it interferes with their review of projects and things of that nature, I'd have to vet that out with town council to see if that's a scenario that would become an issue.
Certainly. I offer help there. I go to the town manager tomorrow morning with you if you want. No, I'm happy.
Behind your back.
I'm like happy to talk this through from a bunch of different angles, and I mean, I'm coming from the nonprofit world, and I know how we are able to do it, and obviously it's different than town government. But I'm happy to help.
I'm supportive of the idea. I just want to do the due diligence to make it most effective and, start it off on the right track. So you'll have my support in, trying to establish it, however that it's done. I'm willing to help.
Great.
Hypothetically, if it falls under Concom's purview and we have a subcommittee, land acquisition subcommittee, would the commission be able to send a representative to a particular meeting of the EOC in addition to myself? I represent the commission on that committee. I'm just thinking down the road. If it resides here and we have an issue or a question on EOC in terms of land acquisition, could a second representative from Concom come in? Not as a permanent member of the EOC, but as a, lack of a better term, guest appearance or an informational setting to give us what we need.
I would love to have, the conservation agent or assistant agent attend meetings, because, there's a lot of technical information that we would inform dialogue at our environmental oversight committees. So, with technical reports and things of that nature on the various environmental issues, love to have their presence, even if it's not every meeting, periodic meetings or whatever. I don't want to overwhelm staff, having them commit to after hours. So, that's willing to talk through that and figure something out. I like the idea.
Yep.
Having somebody from conservation at the meetings. I am supportive of that as well.
Well, let's move on finding out where it needs to reside, and we'll take it from there.
And if there is a subcommittee under the EOC, maybe they can serve as an advisory and kind of do the background work to just make justification on why that would be viable, and if it goes that direction where it lives under conservation, they're the administrative part to move things forward under the advisory of an EOC working group subcommittee. I just want to make sure that it's done in a way where it's effective.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else on here, Dan, that's pressing? Next meeting is last Tuesday in September.
No. Harbor Management Committee, the next meeting is last Tuesday in September, and there's no new updates at this time.
Okay. All right. There is no communication or correspondence that needs to be read into the record at this time. I have no additional topics that I did not reasonably anticipate. Therefore, if no one else has anything of pressing urgency.
Hey, I just want to say one thing.
Wait a minute.
He did have one.
See?
Eat so easily forgettable, Steve's just. No, I just wanted to apologize to you when you were asking me a question. It was not on my phone, this is my insulin injector, and it was going, wah, wah, wah. And I'm fine.
I didn't notice it.
No, but I didn't want you to think that I was doing
Thank you.
anything else
Thank you.
that I should have been doing. I'm sorry? What did he say? He's not
I think
going to
you-
Oh, no,
I
don't
thought
put
she
it.
gave you the green light,
No, you
Steve.
just said that I was at 275, a little high.
We have a motion to adjourn
Second.
and a second. Any discussion, complaints? None? Taking a roll call vote. Alex?